The man was living an ordinary life, but on his 21st birthday, his father revealed an astonishing secret to him.
Travel in time?
It's a weird joke.
Why would I lie to someone I'm fairly...
Tim naturally didn't believe his father's words, yet, driven by curiosity, he decided to test his father's method for himself. He entered the wardrobe, then clenched his fists tightly, imagining a past moment he wished to return to. When Tim opened his eyes again, nothing around him seemed changed, but he soon realized his clothes had completely transformed. He then scrambled down the stairs in a fluster, only to discover in amazement that he had returned to yesterday's New Year's Eve party. Relying on yesterday's memory, he prevented his friend from crashing into the wine table nearby. Tragedy would have repeated itself if he had been a moment later. As the new year arrived, Tim, who had thought the girl beside him unattractive yesterday, replaced what should have been a kiss with a handshake, plunging the girl into profound embarrassment. When this moment came again, Tim kissed her without hesitation, allowing both of them to experience this beautiful moment without regret. After all this ended, Tim returned to the wardrobe once more, repeating the previous actions. When he opened his eyes again, everything had returned to normal. He hurriedly asked his father how he should use this ability. His father said he had read all the books because of it, and some he could even recite backwards. His grandfather used this ability to achieve complete financial freedom. Yet the excess of material wealth trapped his entire life in a cage of emptiness.
Think about this.
Well, to be honest, I suppose for the moment, it would be just great if it could help me get a girlfriend.
It turned out Tim had always yearned for true love, but this longing remained elusive, like seeing flowers through mist. And that summer vacation, he met the first girl who made his heart flutter. Charlotte's bright smile, like a vibrant sea of flowers in spring, quietly bloomed deep in the lake of Tim's heart. As Kit Kat's close friend, Charlotte decided to spend the vacation at Tim's home. But unspeakable shyness prevented Tim from ever expressing his true feelings. Until that quiet afternoon, Charlotte asked Tim to apply sunscreen for her. This intimate request left Tim's pounding heart unsettled. His clumsy technique plunged him into deep embarrassment. And seeing this, Tim hurried back to his room. In the blink of an eye, it was the same afternoon again, but this time Tim seemed very steady, and his feigned, skillful technique naturally won Charlotte's approval. Beautiful times always pass swiftly, and soon it was the last day of summer vacation. Tim knew tonight was his final chance. With a nervous heart, he knocked on Charlotte's door.
Or have I just made a total fool of myself and you're actually going to ask me for late night, last minute tennis tips?
No, it was the love thing.
That's very sweet of you. It's just a shame you left it till last night.
Hearing Charlotte say that, Tim felt a little relieved. Thus he returned to that romantic midsummer day. This time, without a moment's hesitation, he blurted out the emotions he had suppressed for so long.
Wow. Ask me again on my last night.
Your last night?
Yes. Try me on the last night. See what happens then, shall we?
This experience taught Tim that traveling through time cannot change someone who doesn't love you. Not long after, he decided to leave his comfort zone, determined to build a life in London. Although his family was reluctant, they hoped his life would not be limited to the quiet but isolated land in front of him. They silently supported Tim, watching him head towards the distance. The wheels carried the late summer breeze, bearing away the countryside cicada's song. Every farewell in life is for a more meaningful encounter. Tim planned to stay at his father's friend's house, a playwright with a very eccentric temper. In an unfamiliar environment, having relatives or friends to turn to is often a great comfort. But when Tim knocked on the door, he found the man seemed unfriendly. Harry, however, stifled his anger and let Tim inside. And when Tim found a seat and sat down, Harry's emotions could no longer be contained. Just moments before, Harry had conceived a potentially brilliant idea, but Tim's doorbell had shattered his train of thought. He led Tim upstairs. Harry once had a wife and daughter, but they both ultimately left him. Later, Tim quickly secured a job as a lawyer through his own excellent abilities, and there he befriended Rory. Time flew like an arrow. Half a year slipped by like sand through fingers, and every tiring night he spent with Harry. Tim gradually gained a foothold in the legal world while Harry prepared for his latest play. Though countless girls passed him by, only Rory paused for him. Yet all encounters arrived quietly with the dusk of this particular day. Tim's childhood friend took him to a uniquely styled restaurant. Here, they could experience the world of the blind firsthand. The pitch-black environment also made the ambiguous atmosphere around them more intense. He was soon attracted to the girl next to him, and even though he couldn't see, the tacit understanding conveyed in their words quietly warmed Tim's heart. And as the throbbing thoughts gradually calmed down, they ended this long yet short, wonderful journey. Then, after Tim's anxious wait, Mary emerged from behind the curtain. Her delicate features instantly melted Tim's heart. Streetlights dotted the scene like stars, as if the whole world hushed in that moment, just to bless their long-awaited meeting.
It'd be very wrong if I asked you for your number.
No.
Just in case I ever, had to call you about...
Stuff. Okay.
Her shy smile was exactly everything Tim ever longed for in love. Mary's unintentional glance back and smile when saying goodbye replaced all words of goodnight. Walking home, Tim could hardly contain his excitement. This late-blooming affection added special meaning to his life. But the moment he stepped inside, he heard the familiar roar once more. Upon asking, he learned Harry's play tonight was ruined by a seasoned actor forgetting lines, and his career now faced devastating collapse. Tim heard this and immediately went to the bedroom without hesitation, beginning his time travel journey. Fragments of memory flashed through his mind like slides, and soon he arrived at the theater with Harry. Tim hurried backstage and found the actors' lounge.
Having one last look at the lines before you go on. Little refresher.
Out of here, you arsing lunatic.
Okay.
Get out!
But dramatically, the actor he reminded wasn't the one who forgot his lines. Just as he felt relieved, the actor who truly forgot his lines finally took the stage, his dancing tongue utterly failing to deliver his words. The entire theater instantly fell silent, as if time itself held its breath in that moment. Tim realized the gravity of the situation and quickly left his seat. The actor spotted his lifeline then. With Tim's help, the play managed to conclude smoothly. From then on, Harry became the most renowned playwright in the area. After all this concluded, Tim could no longer find Mary's contact information. Only then did he realize belatedly that his time travel had caused him to miss his encounter with Mary. He rushed to yesterday's restaurant, asking the front desk about Mary. Unfortunately, Mary hadn't left her contact details on the bill. But the gears of fate had already begun to turn. Souls destined to meet would not easily stop. One day, Harry showed Tim his work featured on the front page of the newspaper. Tim then accidentally spotted news about Kate Moss holding a photography exhibition, the very idol Mary had mentioned. Without much hesitation, Tim hurried to the photography exhibition. Filled with anxiety, he waited endlessly for Mary, but instead unexpectedly encountered his sister there. It turned out Kit Kat's life wasn't going well either, having been dumped by her boyfriend and fired from her job. Just as they were talking, Mary suddenly appeared within Tim's line of sight. His sister straightened his clothes, and then he approached Mary with a nervous heart. Mary remained as lovely and beautiful as ever. The only difference was she didn't recognize Tim now. To Mary, a stranger who knew her name seemed suspicious, and she naturally assumed Tim had bad intentions. Tim felt deeply frustrated, but encouraged by his sister, he still decided to try again. This time, Tim appeared more composed, and with his sister's help, he smoothly secured an opportunity to tour the exhibition with Mary. But fate always seems full of mockery. During their conversation, Tim learned Mary already had a boyfriend, whom she'd met at a party not long ago. Hearing this, Tim calmed his emotions as best he could, and asked about the time and place they first met. Armed with this information, Tim turned and left the place. He went to a nearby restroom and began his time travel once more. This time he arrived 30 minutes early at the party Mary mentioned. His gaze wandered through the crowd like searching for a familiar glimmer in the vast night, until his gaze fixed on a corner, as if time had slowed down a little. That familiar outline finally made a long-lost warmth rise in his heart.
So I know this is forward, but your face tells me that you're finding this party to be a living hell. So I just wondered if you might come and have a bite to eat with me instead. Right now.
I'm sorry?
Okay, obviously I should have thought this through more. Let's talk about Kate Moss.
Tim talked incessantly about the opinions on Kate Moss that Mary had once mentioned. The shared views and interests irresistibly drew Mary into the thick night. Outside, they even passed by that very man. They then went to a restaurant filled with a romantic atmosphere. Mary gradually discovered that this man was not only humorous but also shared her exact outlook on life. They were like two stars converging perfectly in the endless universe. After dinner, Mary invited Tim to walk her to where she had parked. They strolled down the dappled streetlights. The night breeze was slightly cool, yet their two burning hearts felt scalding, as if ignited by the moonlight. Only then did Tim somewhat realize that this entire walk had been Mary's little ploy. True love is never a journey made alone, but the mutual drawing near of two hearts. Tim then followed Mary to her home. She told Tim she would finish tidying up in 1 minute. After the countdown, Tim approached with a nervous heart, but accidentally stepped on Mary's shoe. Feeling that his first attempt at love was not perfect, Tim asked Mary to give him another minute.
Dangerous.
This time, Tim was clearly more practiced, yet his pursuit of perfection wouldn't let him stop there. After who knows how long, Tim was utterly exhausted now.
Best night of my entire life.
So once is enough for my perfect guy?
I'm not sure that's entirely fair.
Later, Tim moved in to live with Mary. Adorned by love, the once dull times were no more. Spring, summer, autumn, and winter were no longer just changes in temperature, but moments of companionship and mutual growth for the two. Life was no longer monotonous, but a gentle love song playing on repeat. However, Mary's parents arrived unexpectedly one morning. Tim hurriedly straightened his attire, but Mary's father was already waiting anxiously outside the door.
Really? With you?
Yes. Yeah, but no oral sex, I promise you.
Seeing the situation was beyond saving, Tim could only travel through time again. Fortunately, this time, with careful preparation by him and Mary, the meeting with the parents proceeded smoothly without any mishaps. When night fell, Tim invited Mary to a stage play with him, but Mary showed no interest, so he took his good friend Rory instead. Just as the play ended, he spotted Charlotte nearby. His first love now appeared more mature and sophisticated, but he misunderstood Charlotte's words, mistaking her and her friend for a couple, and then said a lot of irrelevant things, plunging the situation into awkwardness. Seeing the situation was irreparable, Tim had no choice but to start over. Yet the situation remained slightly complicated.
You should be a little careful with that, by the way. There are still quite a lot of us old-fashioned types about who interpret girlfriend as meaning gay. So if you say that Tina's your girlfriend, people will assume that you're gay.
I am gay.
Are you?
Do you have a problem with that?
After traveling a second time, Tim decided not to approach Charlotte, but unexpectedly encountered her outside the venue. Charlotte invited Tim to dinner and confessed that if everything could start over, she might not have rejected Tim's naive confession back then. After dinner, Charlotte asked Tim to walk her home. When they arrived at Charlotte's doorstep,
Get back. Because there's something very important that I have to do. Right now.
Tim ultimately resisted temptation, gaining deeper appreciation for how difficult maintaining such resolve truly was. Returning home, he woke the sleeping Mary. Tim's flustered explanations and faint romantic music outside still made Mary sense something unusual.
Were you so bored in the play you decided to ask me to marry you afterwards?
Will you marry me?
I think I'll go for yes. And thank you for not going for one of those melodramatic proposals with lots of people around. I hate other people.
Me too.
After receiving firm reassurance, Tim stepped outside. The radio he mentioned turned out to be musicians Rory had hired. Not long after, Tim brought Mary back to his warm little home. The sea breeze gently swept away their weariness, leaving only profound peace and happiness. While heading upstairs, Tim unexpectedly noticed his sister had returned home. London seemed unkind to her. Repeated setbacks forced her back to the family harbor. Learning Mary was downstairs, Kit Kat instantly perked up and playfully tackled her to the floor. At the warm family gathering, Tim excitedly announced their upcoming marriage. Everyone offered blessings to the couple, and the wedding date was quietly set. The wedding day arrived swiftly. The hall echoed with music Mary had prepared for Tim. As the doors slowly opened, Tim's heart seemed to miss a beat. She was the irreplaceable love of his life, her smile as warm as a spring breeze, instantly dissolving Tim's inner tension and anticipation. She walked slowly toward him, bringing with her all the infinite possibilities of life. All their shared memories seemed to unfold in that moment, but fierce winds suddenly whipped up outside. Though torrential rain lashed their faces, nothing could extinguish their inner joy. They danced in the storm, and though the cake was washed away and their hair ruined by the wind and rain, nothing could diminish the passion and happiness inside them. Tim initially chose Rory as his best man. Rory took it very seriously, even preparing a book of speeches, but when he began to talk, traces of his profession showed as he drifted into discussing divorce cases. Tim had no choice but to time travel and replace the best man. After difficult selection, his father's words finally infused meaning into the ceremony. Yet afterward, James felt his speech felt stiffly formal. Weddings demand raw emotion, so he time-traveled back against Tim's wishes.
Big thing. I've only loved 3 men in my life. My dad was a frosty bugger, so that only leaves dear Uncle Desmond, B.B. King, obviously, and this young man here. In the end, we all get old and tell the same tales too many times. But try and marry someone kind. And this is a kind man with a good heart. I'm not particularly proud of many things in my life, but I am very proud to be the father of my son.
This time, his father's raw emotions gave the wedding a perfect ending. With their first child's arrival, Tim truly felt family's weight and love. But during their daughter's 1-month celebration, Tim noticed that his sister never arrived. Instead, her unreliable boyfriend Jimmy arrived. From Jimmy's words, Tim learned they had quarreled, and Kit Kat had been drinking heavily, which led to a serious car accident. They rushed over and saw Kit Kat covered in injuries. Tim stepped out to ask Jimmy the exact argument time. This time, he used his power to save his sister, personally bringing her home. But life's hardships kept Kit Kat trapped in darkness. To rescue his sister from despair, Tim revealed the truth about his ability to travel through time. He then brought her into a dim room. As memories flashed, their clothes transformed when they reopened their eyes.
Oh my arsing God in a box!
Kit Kat pushed the door open, discovering they'd returned to that New Year's Eve party. And the reason Tim came back here was to prevent his sister from meeting Jimmy. Kit Kat witnessed with her own eyes that even without ever meeting her, Jimmy would casually flirt with other women. Seeing Jimmy's true nature, she ignored stares and punched him. Tim quickly pulled his sister aside, leaving only their father's faint, knowing smile visible. Returning to the present, new memories flooded Kit Kat's mind, adding tenderness to her life. Tim hurried back home. Thankfully, the butterfly effect his father warned about hadn't occurred. Mary remained by his side. But when he went to the living room to find his beloved daughter, he was shocked to find that his daughter had become a son. Unable to accept this, he urgently asked his father for answers.
But the exact sperm at the exact moment got you this particular baby, so if you do anything the tiniest bit different, you'll have a different child.
So, every day up till yesterday is as it will always be. Lost.
Just like for everyone else.
Okay. Interesting. Tough.
Learning the truth, Tim abandoned saving his sister, allowing events to unfold naturally, instead keeping vigil at her hospital bed day and night. It wasn't until a few days later that Kit Kat finally understood that she had to let go of bad relationships and wrong illusions to get her life back on track. Accepting the reality of all this is the way to welcome a bright future. Tim gave his sister some guidance using memories from his previous time travels.
Have you seen Jay recently? He just popped into my head. He's always had a crush on you. You've asked him to dinner. Are you free?
Might be. Might have to freshen up a bit first.
Returning home, Tim was reunited with his daughter as he had wished. Not long after, they welcomed their second child. The family of 4 lived joyfully every day. Yet life remains unpredictable. One day, Tim's father was diagnosed with cancer. Upon hearing the news, they hurried back home. Tim approached his father with a heavy heart. During their conversation, however, Tim sensed something unusual.
Have we had this conversation before?
Yeah.
What happened?
I rather let myself down. I hugged you.
It turned out that James, because he missed his son so much, had traveled through time and space many times to come back and see him. This single hug contained everything Tim wished to say to his father. James then shared his secret to happiness in life with Tim. First, live through ordinary days plainly, even when everything proceeds smoothly. Returning home after a day's work can still leave one filled with negativity. But when traveling back to relive yesterday's smallest details, he'd discover the overlooked beauties of daily life. Tim finally understood that true happiness lies in those tiny, everyday moments. As time flowed onward, James eventually passed away. Yet at this moment, Tim appeared calmer than ever, because he could still travel back to the past to play table tennis with his father and discuss the knowledge within books. In this way, Tim quietly listened to his father tell him about his favorite books, and his father seemed to be always by his side, never leaving. That was why he didn't grieve his father's passing with despair. But one day, Mary expressed her desire for a third child.
It was time for the insurance baby.
What?
In case one of them is really smart, we don't want the other one to feel stupid their whole life. And if we had a third one, then we could have 2 happy dummies.
Tim knew this meant saying a final goodbye to his father. Life, after all, must move forward. After hesitation, Tim agreed. The quiet days passed quickly, and soon the time came for the baby to be born. With a heart full of unease, Tim sought out his father once more to say a final farewell.
The baby is completely on the way. Congratulations.
My son.
Is there anything at all I can do? Is there anything you want to do?
A quick little walk. Totally against the rules, of course, but if we don't change a thing, if we're very careful, it shouldn't do any harm. It would be nice.
Together, father and son traveled back to a seaside afternoon from Tim's childhood. On that long-missed beach, sunlight glistened on fine sand while gentle waves lapped the shore, whispering tales of time. Time seemed to freeze in that instant. Tim and his father stood within childhood memories as the sea breeze brushed their faces, carrying endless warmth and nostalgia. This place held not only gratitude for his father, but also a deeper understanding of life's precious moments. Later, Tim's third child was born safely, and Kit Kat too found her true place in life. Tim returned to his normal life, choosing never again to use his gift of time travel, living instead like an ordinary man, treating every day as if it were his last. Perhaps this is life's most touching truth. We need no magic over time to create our own miracles. So long as we pause in our busyness to notice the sunlight, hold each other tightly after arguments, and choose love amid daily routines, those seemingly insignificant moments become the gentlest eternities deep within time's flow. If life is indeed a journey with no return ticket, may we all live the most romantic version of ourselves in the most ordinary times.